everybody, what's going on? Fabian Calvo, founder and president of the real estate investment firm, The Note House, and creator of the Resourceful Real Estate Academy, where we teach you how to tap into the trillions of dollars in toxic mortgage debt and properties on bank balance sheet, hedge fund balance sheets across the country. So, social media and real estate investing, how you can literally dominate your market, either whether you're investing virtually or it's your own local market and you live in that market, how you can dominate your market using social media. A lot of investors, in fact, I talk about all the time at my live events and in my coaching programs, all this, that the real estate industry is fundamentally changing, and it's changing right now. And those of us that are on the cutting edge of these changes and using them to our advantage, I believe will be the ones that prosper the most. A lot of real estate investors, I'd probably say 90% of them, at least 80% of them, implement 20th century real estate tactics, like direct mail, like, basically farming their little town or little area, using only real estate agents that have access to the MLS. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do those things. But it's important to understand that just as much as we use 20th century real estate methods, we have to use 21st century real estate methods. And the first thing that I want to talk about, which is absolutely essential, is what I call the 21st century business card, right? The 20th century business card was just that, a business card. You handed it out to everybody, right? In fact, it was used at networking events, right? You go to maybe a real estate investment club, you'd hand out your card, or whatever. Any real estate course from the 80s and 90s talks about having business cards and using them to network. And trust me, I've been through literally tens of thousands of dollars in real estate courses and education from when I started about 13 years ago. I went through everything that I could get my hands on. And a lot of them talked about, hey, establish yourself as a seasoned real estate investor by getting, cards made up or getting basically a letterhead. And I agree with all that stuff. But what has changed fundamentally since that time and now? The web, the internet. The 21st century business card is your website. Now, your website is key. I want you to take a look at my website, which is thenotehouse.us. Now, why is your website so critical? A lot of people that I bring this up to, they'll be like, Fabian, there's tens of millions of websites on the internet. Why is mine going to be any different? I mean, what is that going to help me find properties? What's so great about the web is that in a few months, in some cases less than 30 days, you can establish yourself as the leading expert in your marketplace. A lot of my coaching clients, for example, that they may have done a few real estate deals over the last 10 years. Some of them have done no real estate deals at all. Maybe they bought their primary residence, but they've lived in the market that they want to invest in their whole entire life. They know the market better than anybody. I know you watching right now probably have similar experiences. Either you live in the place, you've lived there your whole life, you know it like the back of your hand, and you're getting this started. If that's the case, that is a major, major leg up on the other investors in that market, right? So a website, the Note House website, let me give you some of the advantages of my website, for example. While I'm sleeping at night, I have people that are inquiring on properties that I'm looking to flip. I have sellers of properties in the markets where I have listings that are approaching me about buying stuff. Not a day goes by that I don't get anywhere between 5 to 15 leads from motivated sellers that are looking to sell either their mortgage note to me or even their property, right? In addition to that, when I speak to a bank, a hedge fund, or any seller or any institutional firm, they immediately go to my website because they're going to do that, right? They're going to check you out. They immediately go to my website and they can see the press releases from just a few of the press releases on deals that I've done, an active portfolio that I'm looking to sell, and very, very important, testimonials from other vendors and people that I've done business with. So it establishes me in their eye, instantaneous, as an expert professional in the industry. A website for you will do the exact same thing. Now, what do you add to your website and what makes it important? Probably the most important thing is a blog. You do this, you're in the 5% of real estate investors that are using the web today to their advantage. Now, here's what I like to do. If you're just starting out, because I get people that just starting out, they're like, Fabian, what do I put on there? Well, First off, your blog is an area, if you are doing real estate deals, just talk about the real estate deals you're doing. Talk about the property that you've been purchasing. If you're in Atlanta and you're buying properties in Atlanta, talk about the market and come up with different ideas. And as you write your articles, try to write 1 to 2 articles a week and get some basic SEO training. Now you could pay a company to do this for you, anywhere from a couple $100s a month to $2,000 a month, so it could be pretty pricey. Or you can just train yourself to do it yourself. I do this myself now. And for a ton of keywords, I'm on the front page, right? SEO basically means that the articles that you write or the titles that you post on your videos have a high ranking on the first page of Google. So if someone, Googles, let's say Atlanta REOs for sale, right? You come up on the front page of Google because you have been using SEO tactics to make sure your blog articles come up on the front page of Google. Extremely important. I mean, this again will separate you from so many people. So blogs, the content that you write, which is your blog postings, the content, it can be just basically stories on deals that you've done. It can be press releases that you put out on deals you've done. And my personal favorite, and again, if you're starting out, this is, please, 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 if you don't do anything else that I say, please do this, right? Find the leading investors in your market, the top people that you know, like the guy who's at We Buy Ugly Homes, or the top REO agent in your market, the top whoever it may be, and you want to interview them. Interviews are so powerful. I used to have a radio show about 6 years ago, and it was so amazing how I could call up politicians, I could call up anybody, and they would all want to come on the radio program to get interviewed, right? Interviews are so powerful. I would guarantee that the majority of the professionals in your market that are operating at the highest level very rarely get an interview opportunity. So if you approach them, let's say in this case it would be me approaching someone in the Atlanta market that's a professional, and I approach them, I'm like, hey, I'm with the notehouse.us, it's a private equity firm, and we have a really active blog section, and we like to interview area professionals so that when, basically to get an idea of what's going on in the market. So how does that help you? Well, it helps you, let's say that the area professional in Atlanta is a guy named John Smith, right? So when somebody then Googles John Smith Atlanta REOs, well, I'm sure his stuff is going to show up on the front page of Google, but what else is going to show up on the front page of Google? Your website and your interview will show up. And it won't just be about John Smith, it'll be an interview with John Smith. And people will love to hear that. And then they'll know, well, who your company is. So the blog section on your website is essential. Again, the internet, social media for investing is critical. So that's your blog section. Now, what else do you want to add to your website? You want to have an active blog, but what do you want to name? What do you want the name of your website to be? Okay. What I like about this is that this immediately goes to your story. And I talk a lot about people's stories because not enough real estate investors use their story. An example would be, I have a lot of coaching clients who, let's say a few of them have gone through foreclosure in the past, right? Have had a foreclosure. I mean, I think any real estate investor who's been active in the last 10 years had to deal with banks. I know I had to deal with foreclosures, fighting against a bank or doing workouts on properties that I bought at the height of the market and then later I paid the price. It only helped in my overall learning curve, and I think added to everything that I know today and has helped me become the successful real estate investor that I am today. But nonetheless, that's part of my story. And a lot of other investors that are, let's say, approaching homeowners in foreclosure, that they themselves were in foreclosure, that's essential. Bring that into your story and let them know, hey, I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like, and that's why I want to help you. I went through foreclosure and I learned all kinds of things, And I want to put those to practice and help you. Yes, I'm a real estate investor that's in this for the profit, but nonetheless, I can save you on what you'd be paying an attorney, thousands of dollars, and you might even make some money in this deal from, the cash for keys concept that a bank will usually pay foreclosed homeowners money for their cooperation. So the point is that in your story, you want to come up with a name. In this case, I always like a rule of thumb is, let's say again, John Smith is the name, let's say your name is John Smith. I would do probably something like Smith Capital.com or something along like that. Smith Capital Group or Smith Capital Fund or Smith Ventures LLC.com. I mean, there's so many different ways. And again, it's part of your story and what I call ESP. Very important. ESP is your expert story positioning. You're a real estate expert in the industry. What is your story and how do you position yourself in the market? Again, I don't know any other real estate trainer that's talking about this stuff. It is absolutely vital. Now, if you're in an area where a Smith Capital Group may not be appealing to your local market, you might want to be, the old dad buys foreclosed homes, or dad buys ugly homes, or single mom buys ugly houses. These different types of titles work because they set you apart. If that's part of your story, then use it in your name. Now, to operate at the level of where you're approaching banks and hedge funds, typically having a name like Smith Capital Fund works, right? But at the same time, single mom buys ugly homes, Atlanta, or something like that, that may work as well because you have that story and it's relatable even to the people in the banks or the hedge funds, okay? So your name is critical, and having a story or an About Us section, typically what I like to do is have a video on the front page of your site that as soon as they go there, boom, they can click that video and they can talk, and you talk about yourself and you talk about the value. And what you always want to do is you want to offer them something for free, okay? Really important. Now, the truth is that this is a lot of web marketing stuff. If you go to the Resourceful Real Estate Academy website, I give you my free video training. In fact, people sign into my opt-in page, I give them a bunch of free content. And it's a lot of, people are like, Fabian, that's a lot of valuable info you're getting. Why do you give that out for free? Well, I give it out for free because the paid for content is even more valuable, and I want them to know, hey, this is a value. This isn't just some, fly by the seat of my pants material that I'm putting out. This is a culmination of 13 plus years in this industry that I've condensed into a 6-hour course, plus 2.5 hours worth of video. But the point is that your story and your video on your homepage talks about the value that you bring and gives them something for free. Now, why do you want to give something out for free? You want to give something out for free because you want to get their email address and their email address and their information. Because they could be a potential investor, they could be a potential partner, they could be a potential vendor for you, they could be a lead source for you, they could be a buyer. There's all different kinds of people that are going to visit your website. Again, if you're on the top page of Google, right, if you're ranking on the front page for Atlanta REOs for sale, and Atlanta is your market, well, I'm going to probably want, if someone Googles specifically Atlanta REOs for sale, and they come to my website, and I'm flipping homes in Atlanta, I'm going to want to know who they are. I'm going to want to get their contact info, because that's a pretty specific Google search phrase, and those people are likely, again, either agents, brokers, investors, partners, buyers, you name it, right? So the stuff you can give out for free is pretty simple. It could be, a simple ebook. It could be some video training, or not even video training. It could be videos that you've done about your market. Or it could be maybe, you write a bunch of blog posts and you put those into a little booklet that helps them get a better understanding of that market, right? Now, your name, your videos, I think everything's going to video. You can do, blog postings, or I mean, not blog postings, but you can write an About Us section. I have both. I have a video and I have an About Us section, right? And all of the About Us and everything on there is covering not just ESP, but my USP, right? My unique story, or my unique selling proposition. Why should a banker, hedge fund owner, seller, buyer, investor, why should they work with you? What is the unique about you? And again, if you're just starting out and you've lived in the market for 30, 40 years and you know everything about that market, like the back of your hand, to me, that's the kind of investor I want to work with. If I'm new to that market in any capacity whatsoever, I want to work with the guy that knows the market the best. And so that is very, very powerful. So you want to have your blog, you want to have your About Us section, or your story, your About Us. Think of the name that you're going to list, and then give out something for free in order to collect emails. It could be just a newsletter, it could be an ebook, it could be videos, it could be market updates, it could be properties that you're going to find. It's all how you want to gear it. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to add here about things that you should have on your website and how you should use it. So again, you have your website, you're using it to position yourself, you're writing blogs, you're interviewing people. Extremely powerful. If you follow the things that I've talked about in this video, if you don't have a website, you can build one for pretty much, like a couple $100. I mean, it's so inexpensive today to build these sites. I know for clients of the Resourceful Real Estate Academy, I actually help them. I have people in my office that are trained and help, with WordPress sites and things of that nature to get a really good real estate investing website set up for you. Absolutely critical, not happening enough, right? But what are some of the other methods you can use the web and social media? Well, let's go over some of my favorites. The first is Craigslist. Now, Craigslist works in a majority of markets. In some markets, like for example, I have a coaching client in Utah, Craigslist doesn't really work that well. There's a couple different publications that are like newspapers that work really well for real estate. So find out what works best for you. The best way to find out if Craigslist is working in your market is go there and see how many people are adding to it. If you live in a big metro market, chances are Craigslist works really well. If you live more in a suburb or rural area, classified ads or little newspapers might work even better, right? But it all depends. I mean, if there's 35, 40, 50, 100 people posting a Craigslist a day, you better believe it's working, right? Because that's why people are posting. So one of the ways you can use Craigslist as far as finding potential best buyers, remember the key to a best buyer, and I cover this in depth in my program, best buyers, you feed your best buyers, they will make you a lot of money, is that you could advertise on Craigslist deals. Now I get this all the time. People are like, well, Fabian, I don't have any deals to sell them yet. Well, it doesn't matter. You could run an ad that says, foreclosed properties for sale, steep discounts, Cincinnati area, call today, call today. When they call you up, you just basically say, I don't have any properties now, but I get them and I'm finding them. What exactly are you looking for? And then from there, you can qualify them and you can start to build your list of best buyers. So Craigslist is totally key, right, to finding best buyers and finding investors. You could also market, for joint ventures, all kinds of things. Another one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, I can't even tell you how important LinkedIn is. I'd say probably 40% of the deals we find and relationships we've built have come from LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn. And if you're going to operate at the top of the pyramid, if you go back to my deal search pyramid, LinkedIn is critical. I can't overestimate or stress to you how important LinkedIn is. And by the way, if you don't have the resources or the time or you don't want to wait, which I guess I should just make a point here, with respect to your website, don't wait 90 days to start because your website's not up. What you can do as your website is being built and you're getting all this stuff going, just create a LinkedIn profile that you can do. Again, what's the name you're going to use? Have it be the name, again, Smith Capital Fund or whatever it may be. And you can build a LinkedIn profile in a day, make sure it has a nice picture of you, a headshot that's professional, not you like, partying or at a backyard barbecue, but have a professional photo on LinkedIn. You can establish this in, I don't know, an hour, 30 minutes, and then you can just email your LinkedIn profile to potential vendors, whoever wants to get more information. Because remember, when you contact banks, sellers, whoever it may be, and you give them your stadium pitch and you tell them, hey, my name's Fabian Calvo, I'm with the Note House, we're one of the premier buyers and sellers of distressed debt and distressed properties in America. I'm contacting you today, Mr. Seller, to see if you have any inventory in such and such market that perhaps you and I can work with and I can purchase from you. Something along the lines of that. I can almost guarantee you they're going to go check out who is Fabian Calvo and who is the Note House. Well, I want to give them that information, so as soon as I finish speaking with them, I send them an email that has my website or my LinkedIn profile, and I control where they go, right? They go there because it's easy for them. All they got to do is just click, okay? So LinkedIn's critical, and LinkedIn you can use to contact bankers, hedge funds. Again, you want to Google, let's say again, Atlanta. You would Google something along the lines of Atlanta REO investors LinkedIn. There's so many variations of what you can search, but whatever it may be, Atlanta foreclosed properties, Atlanta REO investors, Atlanta hedge fund real estate. At the end of whatever the phrase is, you add LinkedIn. And immediately you'll get a long list of professionals that show up that are in that market that you could begin to message via LinkedIn, develop that rapport on LinkedIn, and then go into the phone call. A lot of people are like, Fabian, I'm not too hip on calling people. I gotta tell you, in this industry, the phone is critical. It's not as critical as it was 5 years ago. It's still critical. 5 years ago, it was everything. Today, the internet and email is replacing probably 20% of that. But nonetheless, if you want to be in that 1%, 5% of real estate investors, you got to pick up the phone and call people. Now, a lot of people don't like making cold calls, and I don't blame them. I actually love making cold calls because I know they're going to add to my bottom line, and I know that a no always gets me closer to a yes. It's just a numbers game. If I call 10 people, I might get 10 no's, but it might be on that 11th call that I get a yes, and they're like, hey, Fabian, I'm so glad you called. I have properties in this market. I want to work with you. So on LinkedIn, you message them, build a little bit of rapport by messaging, and then after that, it's really easy for you to pick up the phone because you kind of already know that person. And they kind of know you too because they've checked your LinkedIn profile. I'm at LinkedIn to invest with investors around the world, okay? It is extremely powerful. So social media is key to building your real estate business. I can't stress to you enough the importance of a website. And just one more quick point I want to just make sure that I've covered here is that your website, again, should have a great name. It should have a blog section. You should look into SEO. It should have an About Us section, a homepage, and it should have something for investors to contact you. An investor page for investors that could be potential partners or people that invest with you either through joint ventures or structured, private placements, whatever it may be. Have a page for investors and consider and run the numbers on what you feel comfortable paying an investor. For example, we pay our investors anywhere between 10 and 14% returns on their money, and we pay that in monthly payments. The 14% will be paid monthly, so they get 14% for the year, but it's paid monthly, right? And then sometimes we'll give them some points on the back end. It's different for every deal, and it's different for every market and every different investor. What are you willing to pay? Well, you might be able to advertise that on your website, or maybe have them contact you, right? So again, your expert story positioning will drive all of this, as will your USP. One last point, your unique selling proposition should be everywhere on your website. You should have a USP that is, we buy ugly homes. That's a unique selling proposition, right? You should have that everywhere on your site. Come up with one, like Atlanta's #1 home buyer, or Atlanta's #3 home buyer, we're #3, we try harder, whatever. These are just examples, they could be totally wrong, but I'm trying to let you know that come up with something unique to really set yourself apart. Again, if you follow someone like Seth Godin, he wrote The Purple Cow. How are you separating yourself from every other real estate investor in the market? If you're doing stuff like this and you're using ESP and you're using your story, I can already guarantee you're already far removed from most investors that don't even consider any of this. And if they do, they don't consider it in the ways that I've just taught you with interviews and interviewing area experts and things of that nature. All right, so I hope this has been of value. Please, 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 if you don't implement anything else, please do the blog at least. Interview area experts. It'll allow you to really help educate you about the market as well and give you an excuse for finding the best minds and best investors in your market and learning all you can about the market. It's such a brilliant strategy that I hope you run with it. If you want more information, go to resourcefulrealestateacademy.com. We have a YouTube channel. We have all of our free videos out there. Plus, register and opt in at resourcefulrealestateacademy.com. We'll give you some great free training material. And of course, my flagship program, which is filled and loaded with information that far exceeds all of this as well, that I think you'll really enjoy. I'm Fabian Calvo. Thanks for watching. I'm out.